We are in Seattle, Washington, and we are on a cruise ship. So right now we're leaving here, and we're going to stay here for 2 hours.
You're being recorded.
You're being recorded. This is Mama. She looks beautiful. Look at this. This beautiful Ferris wheel.
And that is
My name is Samantha. I'll be your tour guide here for the next 2 hours out here on the waters of Seattle. Seattle Aquarium at Pier 59 on our right-hand side. Like SeaWorld, places like that. This is more of a research and education facility. This yellow and gray building with the big red neon top. Edgewater was originally built in 1962. This helped this become even more popular because they stayed here during the average day does get a bit more rain. And then the concrete walls represent our two mountain ranges surrounding us here, those being the Cascades and the Olympics. Now we're going to see this face wheel again towards the end of the trip, just on the other side. So that is also kind of a good marker. Just remember that. It'll give you a good idea of where we're starting the tour today and where we're ending. Long trip for us on the Good Time 3 on a slower boat. That great work she did. One of my favorite things about this part in particular is, as you can see, it's really the only spot on the water front you can get set up to get a really great view of the space needle. The red buoys on our right when we're returning from sea. So we're kind of doing that today. We started out at the larger Puget Sound and heading into the more inland Lake Washington Ship Canal. So red buoys on our right today. On our left, we're passing by another very big marina. This is Shoal Bay Marina, actually the largest marina in the city. They have space for about 1,400 vessels. It tends to be pretty inexpensive, at least when you compare it to renting an apartment in downtown Seattle. It can be half the cost at restaurants in Seattle, where you'll get a certainly delicious meal. You definitely pay for the view a little bit, but the view is also pretty spectacular. Sea level at all times. It's always maintained right at the same level. So even if we're at the highest tide possible here on the saltwater, we're always going to be lifted up a little bit to the fresh water. So today we're going to get a pretty good lift being at a lower tide coming through here. If you're wondering how exactly that works or exactly what's going to happen or what we're getting ourselves into, it's going to make a lot more sense when we actually go into the locks and we experience it. And also Captain Christy gets to take over and explain it, and she is very good at that. I'm actually going to be deckhanding while we go through, so it's a little bit easier for the captain to explain things. With that though, the locks are just up ahead of us. We're starting to get our first glimpse of those beyond this bridge. This bridge is the Burlington Northern Counterweight Bridge number 4. It is a rail bridge, so only trains go across here, which means we actually normally see it in the open position because we do have a lot more boat traffic coming in and out of the locks than we do train traffic going across. So being that the bridge is down, we may get to see a train go across, or we might get to see the bridge open. So keep your eyes on that behind us, but really the focal point is going to be right ahead of us here, the locks themselves. So as I said, I'm going to be deckhanding through, and Captain Christy will take over this part of the tour, and I will join you all back on the other side. So enjoy the locking. I'll see you on the freshwater.
Well, thank you, Samantha. Can you believe an hour's gone by already? We're at the halfway point, about to enter the small chamber just up ahead of us. And Samantha said she's going to turn back into a deckhand for the locking process. And once she has the vessel tied up, I'll come on the microphone and tell you a little more about the locks and how they...
I feel terrible if I drop it.
okay. It's gonna go drop. Okay, watch. Is it gonna go higher?
I wanted to go.
Stern line. First.
There's a pocky over there. There's a bird.
Look at the lock, pretty. Look at the water. That we're going to go higher elevation.
Yeah. But obviously the lock's going to shut behind it.
Watch. How would you go from the lower to higher?
Oh gosh.
That would be interesting.
That'd be fun.
We're about to enter into the lock, okay? Hold your breath.
Why would I hold my breath? I wouldn't breathe.
How is it possible?
Here's another guy. Okay.
Are we gonna
They're
go
gonna
through this?
separate. They're gonna separate. They're gonna separate.
But how we're gonna go? Oh, they're gonna lift us up, okay? That's what it is.
What?
They're gonna lift the boat. See? You're in the lock. No. It's gonna open, but after you...
Made it. We're in the small chamber at the locks, the highlight of our tour. We're still at saltwater level. We've got a ways to travel. They're just closing the gates, so I'll kind of talk about the particulars, and then when we rise up to freshwater level, you'll have a spectacular view of the grounds of the facility, and I'll talk about what you're looking at. So, Samantha kind of touched on some parts of the locks. There's really is to rise us up to freshwater
Pretty.
level. They're opening
The boat is
valves on
rising.
the upstream level in front of us, flooding the chamber until we rise up and meet up with the freshwater level. Once we do that, they'll open the gate ahead of us, and we'll get permission to exit the chamber and proceed into the canal.
I see a dog.
Now you might have noticed.
Look at
that
the
it's
water is
cold.
weird. The boat is rising.
The way the locks are funded or paid for is a couple different ways. There's a marine grade fuel excise tax that we pay as a commercial boat when we take on fuel, and it's also funded by the Department of Defense. And the tax that we pay is kind of how we're able to just come in pretty quickly and efficiently. There's a priority system, if
See,
you
the
will,
boat is rising.
that ensures we pass
To bring up
through,
to that level?
pretty efficiently.
The fresh- that's a fresh
It goes
water.
like
This is salt
Priority
water.
goes to government
I can
vessels
feel
that
it.
come
We're in the lock.
and they need to get through
So
quickly
now,
to
they're
maybe
filling
fight a
the
fire
water. The
or
boat is
just
rising,
get to the other
okay?
side, Coast Guard vessels.
And then
fire
after
boats,
that-
We need to
emergency
rise a
boats.
bit more.
Second,
Yeah,
priority is
it is.
commercial passenger
We have
vessels.
to
It
rise
has-
all the way up to the sky.
It would be up to that level, and
To,
then we're
big
gonna go.
commercial boats like big fishing boats, tugboats, fourth, recreational pleasure craft. Fifth, kayaks can come through here, canoes, log rafts. The locks are always one of the top attractions in Seattle, right up there with the Space Needle and the Pike Place Market, the Argosy boats. And they've been in continuous operation since they were officially dedicated, which was July 4th of 1917. So
Oh,
they
see,
turned
there's one more
112
lock
years
right
old
there.
last
Pretty.
week. Pretty cool, right? Now, there are two chambers. This is really cool. Now that we are
It's
rising
filling
up,
up.
you can see over into the large chamber. Overall, that's 825 feet
It's filling up.
by 80 feet wide, and there's midway gates down the center to divide it in half. That was designed primarily for big military
If the
boats
bell
and
rings
the
here,
largest
then we're gonna
ocean-going vessel of the day, which was the Lusitania. And now they use it for big commercial boats, but instead of using the whole chamber, they can use half of it, 400 feet, for either
filling up.
long commercial boats, tugs and barges, or a ton of recreational vessel traffic. Last week on the 4th of July, they put hundreds of boats through here in one quick swoop in the large chamber. Now you can see the grounds off to the left, and the big square building, that's the offices. It's officially called the administration offices for the locks. And it's on the National Register of Historic Places And it was designed by a notable architect named Carl Gould.
Don't go that far, okay?
And it's pretty spectacular. It's open to the public during business hours. Oh, by the way, the locks are open for people to come visit, like our friends Shoreside Garden over there off to the left. It's called the Carl S. English Botanical
We're
Garden.
almost there, don't
And
go.
it's named for a gentleman that was instrumental in creating that beautiful landscape from basically a hill full of dirt.
Yeah, but look, this water is coming down,
And then
okay?
off to
We're
right,
almost there.
off to the right or starboard side of the vessel, there's a spillway dam that Samantha mentioned earlier that is
Okay.
maintaining the lift level that will be in it just
She's
a moment
asking them to
a
leave,
constant 20
okay?
to 22 feet above sea level at all times. The fish ladder
Okay.
is really cool. There's a
It's ready.
window that you
It's
can see
opening.
them swimming by. And between the months of June and October, we see the different species of salmon coming home to spawn. Pretty magical time. There's a couple different names we refer to this facility as. All the locals call it the Ballard Locks.
The fresh water is coming in now.
Gate off to the left,
Yeah,
the 45
you're
of
actually at the
vessel
level.
is in the Ballard neighborhood.
You're at the same level.
But we also call it the government locks because it's ran by the Army Corps of Engineers. And officially it's called the Hiram M. Chipman Locks, named for a gentleman that was instrumental in many aspects of the facility, so they wanted to honor him. But the gates are open. That was fairly quick and efficient locking. And once they're completely open, we will get the go-ahead to exit the chamber. You'll no longer be in salt water. We're entering a freshwater bay called Salmon Bay. There's some folklore that goes with the naming of that. And Samantha will tell you all about that. We'll pass through the Ballard neighborhood, and then we're going to go through one of my favorite areas. It's called Tugboat Alley, and it's an area that you definitely can never see from shore. You can only see it from the vessel, and there's two competing tugboat companies that will see.
I see a dead
Tugboat
fish's
Company and
bone.
Western Tugboat
Is that what
Company.
you see?
Yeah.
Don't you
it's
see
really
the
fun.
water level?
So welcome to the fresh water, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that locking. And
Hey,
as I
you
said,
can
Samantha
test
will
the
be back on
fresh water.
microphone here shortly to
actually
keep the
can
tour
drink
back
the
up and
fresh
tell you all about the freshwater
kind of
side of things. Meanwhile, you can enjoy seeing a simultaneous inbound locking in the large chamber. A couple differences in a large and
that's it.
small locking. Not only is there obviously size in the difference, but the way that they have to tie up their vessel. You might have noticed Samantha tied it up to the wall, and the wall actually kind of floated up with us. But in the large chamber, the vessels that tie up to the wall have to pull the line in as they come up to freshwater level, and then other vessels tie up to them. So there's a difference in the way that you have to handle your lines in the chamber.
We're in the main.
But yeah, welcome to the freshwater. Hope you enjoyed that locking. Thank you very much.
We go right to freshwater.
Can you believe?
ওরা কি করে এগুলো ই কোম্পানি
What?
ওরা বেঁধে দিচ্ছে ওই যে বেঁধে দিচ্ছে
That's a lock.
জলের পড়ছে
They're gonna go away.
ওটি করে কেন
That's another lock.
Having gone through the locks now, we are officially on freshwater and in a new body of water called Salmon Bay, named for the salmon that migrate through here. The legend was that there was so many salmon coming through here that you could walk across the backs of them from one side to the other.
I wanna try
think
that.
It's probably more to do with the fact that this used to be more mud flats than an actual navigable channel, but still, salmon do migrate through here. And this was more brackish water, a mixture of fresh and salt, and it would flood in with the water from Puget Sound at high tide and then empty out by quite a bit. So once the locks were built and installed where they were behind us, that cut off that salt water from coming up here. And then once they completed the rest of the canal ahead of us, that allowed the water from Lake Washington and Lake Union to come and flood in through here, creating this much deeper, wider, freshwater harbor here. Eventually actually lowered the level of Lake Washington by 10 feet in total. So that's how much water displacement happened. But